Hello students in English 3 and welcome to the second topic in our grammar presentations, passive voice. This one is for simple present, present continuous, and present perfect. So we're going to start with a quote. We don't become adults until we move from the passive voice to the active voice. That is, until we have stopped saying it got lost and say I lost it. Probably at the end of the presentation you will understand what this means. This was said by Sydney Harris, as cited in Friend 2016. So let's start with the form. We form the passive voice with the correct tense of the verb to be and the past participle. So as you can see in the chart, in the active voice, for example, we have the verb make or makes. But in the passive voice, that transforms into is, are, which is the simple present of to be, and made, the past participle of that verb make. The present continuous would be like this. So in the active voice, is, are, making, as we reviewed in the past video. But in the passive voice, you will need is, are, being, and then the verb in the past participle, made. For the present perfect, we have the auxiliaries has and have made. But in the passive voice, we will have has, have been made. Okay, remember, we always need the past participle of the verb, as you can see it in green, and then what changes is the form of the to be. So let's see some examples. Hummingbirds make beautiful noises. J.K. Rowling is writing a new Harry Potter book. Peter Jackson has made 4 Lord of the Rings movies. In the passive voice, this would be, beautiful noises are made by hummingbirds. As you can see in the active, the example is in the simple present. Hummingbirds make beautiful noises. In the passive voice, it will go, beautiful noises are made by hummingbirds. In the active voice, we have J.K. Rowling is writing a new Harry Potter book. In the passive, that will be, a new Harry Potter book is being written by J.K. Rowling. So remember, in green we have the past participle of the verb. In the active voice we have Peter Jackson has made 4 Lord of the Rings movies, and in the passive voice it will transform into 4 Lord of the Rings movies have been made by Peter Jackson. Let's remember the chart. Okay, now it's your turn. Transform the following active sentences into passive ones. Take notes and bring them to class. The teacher buys groceries at D1. Laura hasn't seen a good movie in a long time. Camila is buying a house in Suva. Leonardo forgets his assignments. And Camilo has broken the window 3 times. Remember, use the chart. So now, pause the video and write your sentences. Don't forget to bring them to class tomorrow. Okay, so now it's your turn to create from scratch. Create your own sentences in the active and the passive voice. Take notes and bring them to class. Let's talk a little bit about the use. We use the passive voice when we want to focus on an action or the object of the action, rather than the person doing the action. So see how we highlight in green action and object of the action. What does this mean? Well, that means that passive sentences often indicate that what happens is more important than who is responsible for what happened. Let's see some examples of that. Viviana is painting the house. The speaker is talking about Viviana and the house. The house is being painted by Viviana. Only the house, or the object, is being described and not the person who painted it. As you see here, by Viviana is in parentheses. That means that it's optional. We can either have it or not have it. So in grammatical terms, this would mean that the object of the active sentence becomes the subject of the passive one. It's just what happened here. In Viviana is painting the house, or the house is being painted by Viviana. So verbs regularly used in the passive are Verbs related to inventions, books, films, like was invented by, was discovered by, was produced by, was written by, was directed by. Verbs related to crime, was arrested, was prosecuted, was sentenced, was found guilty, was sent to prison, etc. As you notice, these are past tenses. Most commonly, you will find the passive voice in the past because it is to describe the things I just mentioned. Crime, inventions, books. It's in news and business as well. We'll see that in a moment. Also, verbs related to accidents and injuries, like was injured, was killed, was stabbed, was damaged, was hit by a car, was destroyed. Once again, past tenses there. We also have business or news. It's often used in business or news when the object of the action is more important than those who perform the action. Over 20 different models have been produced over the last 20 years. When a company is talking about a product, they don't care about who created the product, they just care about the product. So that's why they use the passive voice. Similar as in the news. Peace was signed in La Habana. So we don't care about the agents. What's more important is the action of signing peace. More than 15 children were captured committing crimes last year. In this case, what's important was that they were captured, not by who. Or we know that it was by the police. Another important thing to consider when you're working with the passive voice is the preposition by. If the agent is important, meaning the person, company, or thing that does the action, use by. Let's see some examples. The best version of Dracula was written by Bram Stoker. The Lord of the Rings was directed by Peter Jackson. A Santa Fe fan was stabbed yesterday by a Millonarios fan. In these three examples, the agent is important, so we mention it by using the preposition by. We don't use by when it is obvious who has done the action, or when we don't know, or when it is not important, or simply when we just want to conceal the information. Students were asked to do the homework. It's obvious that it was by the teacher, so we can omit it. Guests are asked to sign the visitor's book. By the hotel is kind of obvious, so we don't say it. The window was broken. We don't know by who, or we don't want to say by my son. These are the references. I used the book Life, and I also used a presentation from Presley to give you this information. So bring your notes to class and be ready for the quiz. Bye!